Shadowboxing with Filthy and J-Dog.
All right, folks, we are back here with another episode of Shadowboxing, the official community TSR podcast. This is Shadowboxing Season 2, Episode, I think, 3, if that sounds right to you.
I believe so. I mean, you could have checked the YouTube real quick, but we don't do research for this
Literally, not even that. That's a really low bar, and we're not even jumping that high, just
low bar.
to be honest. They set the bar so low, but we brought a shovel, baby. We gonna dig under that shit.
Fucking, they set the bar so low, just over on a couch, like, but I have tacos.
Tacos, shit. There's a lot, dude. There's a lot that could keep me on that couch and not over that bar.
Like fucking single Skittle.
Yeah, just the one skill. It can't be yellow though. That's my only condition.
No, green. Green is the best.
I like red.
I like the original green too.
Yeah. Not the shit the kids are eating these days.
Fucking goddamn whippersnappers.
Oh.
I would say talking about you, Buster, but he's not here anymore. So, moving on.
Shots fired. All right. Oh, well, as always, my name's J-Dog, and I'm joined by my best friend and constant co-host, Filthy. I guess we can kind of
remember when we used to say our numbers?
I do, and I think about it every time now that I don't. I don't talk about it on the podcast. That's you bringing it up right now, but I do think about it every time. Because Shane was like, you guys are fucking nerds. Stop saying your numbers. To be fair, he was talking to me because I introduced us. You had nothing to do with it. So, anyway.
To be fair.
Dark days. Back when we thought we knew what we were doing.
Right.
So yeah, the last weekend we were both out of town in the beautiful rolling state of Kentucky. We were in Louisville to attend Louder Than Life, which is just a rock music festival. Had a ton of fun. Then yeah, that's kind of that. We're both pretty tired. It's been it's a 4-day festival, not 3. So, we got in Wednesday night. We just got home today. It's been...
yeah, I spent 6 hours. No, actually, because I took the quicker route because I didn't care about, going through the great state of Indiana today. So, I just cut through that bitch for, the whole drive. So, it did shave a bunch of time off my drive, compared to coming down. But, yeah, I'm tired. I was laying in bed earlier. You texted me. You're like, I'm in Discord. And I looked at Crystal, and I was like, I gotta do that podcast.
Yeah.
And rolled out of bed, and now I'm here.
Not that I want to set what will undoubtedly be a somber tone for the episode, but I was straight up hoping you were never going to respond to that message. 'Cause I was like, if it weren't for the fact that it's been, I don't know how many days since we've done this, and it wouldn't likely be for another week.
That was my thing, is we missed last week.
Yeah.
And then I didn't want there to be, because then, we're going to be like, holy shit, there's a lot to recap. We're with this, honestly, we were, released, Wednesday of the week before?
Yeah.
And then didn't record last week.
Yeah, that's right. We didn't record last week. So
this sets us on track.
Yeah, I agree.
And I feel like we've kept a better pace recently, and that'll make it easier in the long run.
Yes, sir. It will be we won't have a problem keeping pace tonight, that's for sure. Although I, knock on wood, I guess. Anytime I say it, it's like
it's
3 hours later. Listen, I'm gonna tell you right goddamn now why Najee Harris is being robbed by the committee.
Najee Harris is being robbed by his user.
Wow. Oh, I don't have to fucking do that.
Welcome back.
You're a piece of shit. So.
I know I am. It's alright, dude. You're working. I saw you rip off some nice runs today with the Lions team, so you'll get there. He's mini Derek
I
Henry,
told
'cause
you that
anytime
in
someone-
confidence while we were both doing illicit drugs at a rock festival, and you immediately use it to cut out my legs from under me. You didn't hesitate. You did not hesitate. I tell you one time when I'm drunk at a concert that I can't figure out the fucking run game this year, and you put me on blast in the podcast. Is that the way it's gonna be tonight?
No, that was my one stray that you got to catch.
Well, congratulations, the stray landed. The stray found its mark. At that point, it's not really a stray, but you know, that's just called taking a shot. So, the AFC North. We are 6 minutes. We'll timestamp it. The AFC North.
Timestamp that is filthy hurts J Dog's feelings.
Filthy with the deep cut. You cut me deep, filth. You cut me real deep.
I think you went too deep, man.
All right, Ravens, Bengals, Browns, Steelers is the order. It's kind of mirrors itself somewhat well. 7-2, 6-3, 4-5, 2-6. I guess it kind of falls off between 4-5 and 2-6, but in any case, you know. So well, I'll let you lead it off because you've done. I mean, you're in the mix. Looks like better home team than a road team by looking at things. 3-1 at home, 3-2 on the road.
It was weird because it was the opposite last year. I'd lose games at home, but I'd win all my road games. Like,
Yeah,
just
actually,
that was something I was looking at last year with that Bucks team, where I was like, why is that a fucking thing?
Yeah.
Like,
I remember that actually, because I was like, that's interesting. But yeah, no. So what do you think so far?
I mean, this has kind of been how it's almost been running since like the beginning of the season. You know, season 1 of the cycle of TSR. I was sitting at 7-2. One of those losses was like just an accidental. It should have been a force for him. It was back when, like, you remember when this game wasn't, knock on fucking wood, because it sounds like it's been better. Remember when it wasn't saving results and shit?
Yeah.
And like, it's just a force didn't get plugged and it ended up on the fair sim swinging my way. I'll take it because it was a close game. So it was like one of them things where it's like, well, I mean, that sucks, but
yeah,
I'm not gonna bitch about things going my way there.
Right. You can't afford to. The way this game is, if things are going your way.
Quick, who did he lose to? Who was the second loss?
I can.
Because was that while we were away? I just missed that. Or was it a little bit of... Either way, like, I'm only one game back of him. We do have another game, so it's very, very... I don't think I'm going to win this division still. I've still got way too much to learn about this game, and...
He lost a straight sim to the Bucks. So, it was 31-16 was the game that he played that he lost. So, it wasn't on another force or anything like that. And that's just straight up got beat, I guess. That's by Tiny.
All right.
So,
or unless it was our new Bucks user, because I know there's a completely different person there now.
You're right. It's CMC.
Yeah.
Who?
So.
Yeah, and I'm looking straight at it. I don't know. I got my shit mixed up. Some people use different names in Discord versus their.
Oh yeah, go by different things, right? That's why I just like being filthy, man. It's easy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a clean person, but my username's pretty.
Actually pretty clean.
It's the same across all platforms. That's why I like when people are like, "What's your PSN?" I'm just like,
you know.
Exactly. It's right there, laid out and spelled for you.
It reminds me. Oh, what did that? Was it a line from one of the newer Star Wars movies where it's like, you have everything you need? Or I don't remember what it is, but my family used to use it all the time. So it's like somebody asks you, hey, from Discord, what's your PSN? And I'm like, you have everything you need. They're like, what the fuck are you saying right now? I'm not following. Hive turned it right around and then smoked the shit out of Gouda 51-7. So, oh man, I'm going to have to hit up Hive before my game against Gouda tomorrow, because...
He's like, yo, how'd you do this?
I'd be like, how did you do that? So that I can get destroyed just a little less hard.
But no, man, I don't think Hive's gonna lose many more games. And I think I'm gonna have some losses still to come. So I'm fighting for a wild card spot. I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, I
The
mean,
Browns
6-3. If you're fighting for a wild card spot, 6-3 is a good place to be. I don't like that defeatist attitude, though.
I'm not in a shit spot. I'm actually sitting in a pretty decent position right now.
That's a defeatist attitude, though. It's so early. It's not so early, but you're only a game back.
No, I know. I'm only a game back. It's just I don't foresee it this season. I need a couple of more things, man. Not on that offense, really. That offense is set and ready to go. But my defense is the 24th ranked defense right now for a fucking reason, dude. Like, I'm missing some key pieces that I really need.
Yeah.
But that's, I mean, hey, that's what an off season's for. So hopefully we get short up then. But, I mean, this one's not over. I'm not going to place my chips and be rah-rah right now. Like, yeah, I'm going to win the North. Like, no, I was going to probably win this year, but I don't think he's going to win it every consecutive season. And
yeah.
So we'll see. And then we got the Browns 4 and 5. I think, man, from playing him, I think he's a decent user. I think he caught some really bad fucking breaks when he played. He's also got a good team. Like, that Browns team's pretty built. Like, so the fact that they're missing draft capital isn't even the end of the fucking world, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah.
You still get some pieces in free agency. They do have, I believe, some decent cap room still. So.
Yeah, they had that fixed going into the year.
Yeah. And then, I mean, you're sitting at 2 and 6. I feel like
I don't know what's coming next, but I can't wait for it.
It's because I'm trying to not catch you with any more fucking.
Oh no, go for it. At this point, you know the people want it, so
you're playing good on defense, dude. But you just got to sit down and figure out the passing game. And I know Kenny Pickett's like not the answer, but I feel like you could do more than what you're doing. If you just, honestly, man, I would just get in the practice mode and just throw different passes over and over and over and over and over again without the consequence of something actually being on the line.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because then that's when you're going to get fucking tilted and I hate this game and fucking rabble. Whereas, like,
so
bro,
hard.
if you throw a fucking pick in practice mode, you just take a sip of your beer.
Man, we talking about practice.
Probably shouldn't do that again. So... Like, I think, because I was, the same things you're telling me, man, were the same things I was feeling at the very, very beginning, where I'm like, I don't know if I can fucking do this, because, like, I can't even throw a pass.
Yeah.
And then I realized that, like, no, I'm just trying to make Madden 22 reads still, and it's no longer, that doesn't work like that anymore.
Yeah.
Some things do. A couple of them are, like, a couple of things are still the same, you know what I mean? But, like...
I mean, a lot of
it's...
It feels as familiar as it feels different. It's weird. Like, the concepts are all still the same. It's just the way that the players react around those concepts because the engine is different.
Exactly, and I'm finding different concepts that I were like, this is stupid, last year's doesn't work, like, are more fluid this year. So, yeah, I just think, man, if you put in a little practice in the practice mode, load up with Kenny Pickett and just get used to that 86 throw power and... But
Heard that. I have a new concept for this stream. You have for the podcast. You have the shit up, right?
Yeah.
Like, do you have the standings up?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you break all that down? And for the next 5 minutes, I'm just gonna fuck around in the practice tool, and the people get to watch me do all of my glorious nonsense, but in the practice tool. What do you think about that? We talk about it every week. Just use the practice tool. It'll be fine.
Oh, do you know how many times we've recorded this podcast, dude? And I've been doing other shit on the side.
Yeah, I know. So this is my chance to
go for it. As long as you can maintain banter like I can, you're fucking perfect.
100%.
Like,
So
I was legit. Remember how last time we did this, we logged off and we were talking to Logan? He was like, yeah, Scott was on WoW. And you're like, no, he wasn't. He was recording a podcast with me. Yeah, no, whole time.
The entire time.
All right, so AFC South's the next one up, and this is a more interesting division. There's all the fucking madness going on in here right now. The Colts are 5-5. The Jaguars are 6-4. And then the rest of it just falls off a cliff. The Titans are 1-8. Texans are 1-7. Man, I'm Noel's playing good right now with that Jaguars team.
There's
That's another guy.
so hold on, because I have the Neon Sports up just in my other monitor, so that
Yeah.
way I can at least be looking at that while I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Is it still 5-4 or 5-4, or has somebody played?
Noel played and he beat Faz.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
He did beat
actually.
Faz. Yeah, that's right.
So
That's
I
the
should
big
be
news.
pulling
Honestly.
up right now is looking at that box score because what was the final on that? 24-21.
Nope. That's the first one they're gonna be looking at. Like, the fuck is this guy doing when he plays the game? Oh, I didn't think that was gonna be a jet sweep. I thought that was actually gonna be the handoff.
Yeah, Mahomes threw for 371. Lawrence only threw for 202, 3 interceptions, but they picked off Mahomes 4 times. I wonder if those got returned. How many of those got returned for touchdowns? Because that could be just absolutely.
You said they picked him
wow.
off 4 times.
Bro, yeah, they picked him off 4 times, and then this is what I wanted to check. Okay, only one of them went for a touchdown.
Still, that's a pick 6, and how many other just regular interceptions?
Yeah, true. 3. Jamal Agnew returned 1 for a touchdown.
Hmm.
And then James Robinson had 85 yards. Lawrence had a rushing touchdown. I wonder, did they kick a game-winning field goal or something? I miss when this used to show you a scoring summary.
Yeah, I missed that too.
Like,
Also
that
miss
was
when it would give you,
nice
like,
because you
highlights
could
and
just
shit.
click a game. Yeah, dude, that used to be so
That's
cool. I remember you could do it on NCAA. You could click the game and it would be like, and you could hit the play and it would fucking.
Well,
show
especially
you
if
the
it
play.
was if the game was played. Like,
Mhm.
user games should, I feel like it should keep those highlights.
So,
But yeah, I mean,
and
it's
then,
like it's a very clear divide. It's like 2 teams that are fighting for the division and 2 teams that aren't in it at all, really. Like 5-4.
the Colts lost to the
1-7,
Raiders
1-7.
this week too, 36-19. So they are definitely man, them two are gonna be fighting for that division probably back and forth, just like the whole way through. That's another question that I have actually real quick before we jump back on this is how they played each other yet. That's actually obviously important for this. Yes, they have, and the Colts won that one 16-5.
So they hold the tiebreaker.
Thus far. Oh, did they play twice already? They did. And it's split. They split it too.
That's insane that they've already played twice. And some teams, it's like they're not going to play each other until, like, they don't play each other. They haven't played each other at all yet.
Right, or they'll play in, like, the last, like, month and a half of the season.
Yeah. That's always nuts. But, I mean, it's also, like, it's pretty crazy that they're so close and they tied. Like, a lot of the times, at least, you're like, well, I've got, the rest of the games against everyone else in the division. Oh, that was sick.
Like, these two are
like-
literally just, they're racing.
Yeah,
at this
but
point.
they're
Like,
racing and they don't even get to play each other. It's normally
No.
you're like, at least I control something in my hands because I get to play this team again. And now it's like, no, which is, I think that's a little more anxiety invoking because you don't control it. So it's literally just you waiting. Ooh, tried to cut that off. That didn't work. You're just waiting for the other person to make a mistake. It's kind of so like, back a week ago when the White Sox still had playoff hopes. It was like the White Sox are winning, but so are the Guardians, and it's like shit. We need them to lose. It's the same kind of concept, with these two players that are so close to each other. It's like your wins are no longer good enough. You need to hope that the other team loses as well, and that's a tough spot to be in. Conversely, if you lose and then the other team also loses, you're like, oh, thank God, like we have life.
Yeah, it's not over.
Right.
But all right, so offer it right now. If you had to pick one of these two, Null or Hove, who's going to win this division?
Well, Noel's coming off that big win, right?
Null's coming off a big win, and if I looked at that correctly, he had won the last game between the two of them, and like there was a big jump. It was like a 16-5 game the first time.
So he's
And
playing
then the
better
last-
now.
Yeah, the last one that he won, it was like 38-24. So
Yeah.
like you're
Yeah.
seeing, I think you would see that honestly if you looked at a lot of these scores from early on. You're gonna probably see like lower scores or like some weird like off balance ones, and you're probably gonna start to see stuff like you're gonna start to see like the people who play Madden start to get a feel for it. Some guys already have, you know what I mean, but I think some of us will start to get it here pretty soon.
Yeah. Well, shit. I hope I'm one of those that starts to get it here pretty soon.
I think you will, man. You just gotta just put in a little practice and be a little more patient.
Dude, I know you love slants this year. That last one was only not picked off because what should have happened, my receiver actually fought for the ball, but that slant was a 50-50.
Try using the playmaker inside on him, like the L2. Hold the L2 and over
Too fast.
and rifle him in.
Oh, you mean to like place it better? Yeah. Because that
Little
could be
stuff
both
like
ways.
that.
You could want to go
Yeah.
inside or out, depending on where the
Well,
coverage
exactly,
is.
and it just depends on the situation. That or like you have to read the DB. Like if they're in off coverage, bro, right off his break
Oh, yeah.
before that DB can even start to work in onto the slant. Like everything's quicker this year. You have to process faster, and you have to make these reads and these throws faster. That's what took me the longest, is because like last year you have all this time to sit there and be like, no. Where
Yeah.
this year you have to like
It's at
not there, boom. Like
At the same time, I gotta go. Why is it calling me the same play twice? I've gotta go look at more of my games that I played and figure out if I'm getting rid of the ball too quickly. Because I also feel like I'm probably doing that a fair amount.
that could be too. I mean, you see, what really you have to break down is like do what you just said, is go back and watch some of your game film. But
When I lose, I have literally no desire to acknowledge that it ever happened. So like, it's a very toxic personal trait, but it makes looking at this shit a little bit harder.
all right, so off top of my head,
I'm taking Noel. Better recent performance, better recent head-to-head.
I'm gonna take Noel too, and here's the reason: is I'm looking at the numbers on the screen right now. Like points allowed, they're both sitting at the exact same 242. The Colts have scored 232. The Jaguars have scored 275. And I think the Jaguars' offense being a little bit more efficient right now, I think that's going to make the difference. That, and he's 6-4, so like this is going to flip next week from what I'm looking at, where it shows the Colts on top, man.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
So, but right now, I mean, it's up in the air. But this is the point in the season, man, where you're going to start to see people pull away, and it's going to start to become a little bit more clear.
Yeah.
But we'll go on to the AFC West, the AFC East, that is. So
What a wild division this is in real life, by the way. Quick shout out to
Right.
the only undefeated team in football, the Miami Dolphins. I know Shane's going to love to hear that shit. I
Have the
can't
Eagles lost yet?
honestly...
I think
Oh,
they're the only undefeated team in the AFC.
that could be then. I know I heard only undefeated... I mean, shit, even if that wasn't true, the fact that they lead their own division, like, that shit alone is impressive as hell. Because they're in the division with the Bills. So, like... And they beat the Bills this weekend, too. I truly don't even know, like, what to say about all that. But that's not what we're talking about. We're taking sacks with Kenny Pickett, and that's going to end that little fun thing that I did while we talked about the AFC South. The AFC South, or the AFC East, as far as the, three divisions we've covered so far, has the clear breadwinner in the division. They have the clear front-running team that we more or less expect to be successful going forward. The other divisions that we've covered are pretty even in that respect, or maybe not even, but like they've got a decent distribution or guys that are close to the top. I don't know. I'm struggling to find the right words to say, but like there's competition there. And that's not to say there isn't competition in the AFC East. It's just there's a very clear top dog. And of course that's going to be the Bills that are sitting up there at 7-2. Every other team, the Dolphins, Jets, Patriots, everyone else is looking up in a way that I guess you
they're
wouldn't really
either
say
everyone
they are.
under him is either at 500 or like below it.
Right.
I mean, Shane beat me early season. Noobs, I won, but that was he forced a fucking fumble, like a last second fumble to win that one. I don't think I played the Patriots, but that roster is absolute garbage. So, I mean, I called this from the beginning. I really thought that Jay Smooth was just kind of roll through this division for a season.
Yeah.
But in like a cycle aspect, Shane's team's gonna get better. I don't know what he's gonna end up doing with like the whole Tua deal. If he's gonna end up keeping him, trying to draft a guy, what have you. Noob's team is all like super young. And they're super young and they can be developed. Like it's not like a lot of normal. You got a lot of star guys there, so you can definitely progress those guys. And if he starts to get developed, games he hits on, things of that nature, like that Jets team could be really good after one off season. The Patriots need all sorts of shit. That roster's just bad. Like, I would never want to be shelved with the Patriots in a league. God, that would be so terrible.
No, that'd be yikes status for sure. I went ahead and looked up Tua's season stats just to see because I think that is maybe the most interesting question in the division right now. I'm with you. I think, Shane's a good user. He's going to level up as the cycle goes on. And I also wondered if Tua was the guy. Looking at the numbers, probably not. But it really just depends on how Shane feels about Tua. Because he's got 15 touchdowns to 38 interceptions. So, like, those numbers are atrocious. However, I mean, let's see. I know I've been pretty rough to start, so I have thrown... I'm only at 12 touchdowns and 12 interceptions, but a lot of those are CPU games, too. My schedule's been pretty crazy. So, I guess what I was trying to say... If you start the season rough, and I know Shane has been the first to admit that like he was throwing a lot of picks early on. The fact that we've got Tua sitting at 38 picks and is going to throw more, so this just isn't going to be a great season for him, I don't think that automatically disqualifies him from being Shane's quarterback of the future. Both because, like I said, Shane's going to level up as a user. A lot of those picks came earlier on, and I'm sure he's going to get better and adapt and identify. And also, like, I mean, sometimes you just have that, and you have a season that you're like, whatever, this season is just chalked. Maybe not for the team, but for a player. You're like, okay, whatever. At this point, it doesn't make me any less likely to throw the ball with Tua because I'm throwing lots of picks because I need to figure it out. So he's just going to throw more picks, but he'll throw more touchdowns, and that's that was the way it was, last cycle with the Bengals team that I had. Joe Burrow was a joke in the first year, and by year 3 he was like contending for MVP. It just, something clicked for me. So I don't necessarily think that the poor performance early on means that Tua won't be considered. But the other thing too is it may well depend on what his better options are, if there are any. But again, those are all things he's gonna have to figure out. I just thought it was an interesting point that you brought up. About not really being sure who is going to be the long-term answer there. But even as it stands, Tua's the quarterback. He is the only guy. Shane has not tried anybody else. And he's the quarterback of a 5-5 team that's only 2 games back in the division, and I'm certain is still fresh in the wild card hunt. They did lose recently to those Browns. So, I don't know. There's a lot to unpack, but I just think it's interesting to see to his journey, and we'll see. I will personally be waiting with bated breath to find out what his fate is as we move on. But in any case, yeah, Chase move with the Bills, running the division is the headline story. Got the splits you want to see, and you basically ran through everything else. So, early winner, probably not all that hard to pick this one, right?
Yeah, no, it's the Bills, man. And Jason is going to win that division.
I think he's got enough of a gap, and it's just so it's hard to swing up from the position where those other teams are. If Shane can figure it out, he could pose a threat for sure, but I think Smoove is far enough ahead of everybody right now that he's not. I don't want to say not concerned as in he's not taking it seriously, but like he's not really sweating it from his position, you know.
Nah, he's in the driver's seat right now. He just has to keep doing what he's doing.
All right, AFC West.
The West.
West.
Dark, man. Darkness is leading it right now, 6-3. Faz is 4-5. Jay Bunting's the Broncos, right?
Is it?
I'm like 99.9% sure.
Did that also change? As we both go to check. Yeah, it's Jay Bunting. Yep.
Cool. And then Coach Seals with the Chargers sitting at 4-4. That's a close division, man. Like,
Yeah.
Dark's sitting at 6-3. I know he was another person that was struggling early on, but I'm assuming he's probably got it turned around a little bit now. You know, Chiefs are at 4-5. I don't think Faz has played many of those games, though, to be completely honest with you. Jay Bunting's sitting at 5-4, and the Chargers sitting at 4-4. So like nobody's out of this yet.
Yeah.
Everybody's like within one game of each other, and it's a complete dice roll cluster.
There's basically no bad user in that division, or I shouldn't say user. There's no bad team.
Yeah.
There's no bad team as it stands right now, and that's pretty cool. You think at 4-4, you're only 2.5 games back of the division lead. So that's where the Chargers and Seals are at right now, and it's really awesome
Same
to
with
see.
Bunting and the Broncos, man.
Well, yeah. I mean, like Seals is in the worst spot at sitting 2.5 back.
Mm-hmm.
Is it 1.5? No, he's got 2 less wins and 1 more loss, so that's 2.5 for sure. Yeah.
Broncos have put up a ton of points, 304. That's the most in the division.
Yeah. Yes. 304 points, and that's like they cleared the Chiefs by a decent margin, but they cleared the division leader by quite a bit. You got almost 70 more points than the division leader. So, yeah, it's definitely it's anybody's ball game, really. And it's, I mean, I guess it's easy to go ahead and just say, if I'm going to pick this, I'm probably going to pick this for Darkness because he's leading it already. He's on the winning streak. Like you said, the amount of games that Faz has played kind of factors into that. So if he is around and turns it on for the back half of the season, God only knows. Especially, I mean, any user with the Chiefs, right? That team is so loaded. It's like even, okay, so I get that they don't have Tyreek Hill anymore. I understand that. I don't think that makes them really that worse of a team. I don't, because they have Juju Smith-Schuster, who's a good wide receiver 1, and if you just need to stretch the field, they've also still got Mecole Hardman. So I think the Chiefs are still a scary offensive team, as evidenced by the fact they have the second most points in their division. So that team could turn around at any point. And then, of course, Seals with the Chargers. Again, mentioned earlier, he's at the back of the division, but he's only back by 2.5 games, which is like the last team in the divisions we've talked about before now are way more than 2.5 games out of first place.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it'll be exciting. How isn't that the case? I feel like it's always one of the Wests, NFC West or AFC West. Every year that we've done this podcast, even in different leagues, one of those two divisions is always the West Coast, man. It's just like, who cares? Like, it's like, whose line? Nothing matters and the points are made up. Like, it'll be interesting to see who can come home with that one, though.
No one truly knows what's going on.
The teams don't even know. What's your game plan? Well, ideally, we'd like to have more points than the other team at the end of this thing. Like... All right. Again, it's. Do you have anything else on who you think is gonna win, or
Not really. I think Darkness will win it, but honestly, I'm gonna keep an eye on the Broncos with how many points they're scoring.
Yeah.
I want to see if he can kind of sneak in there, and because he's only one game back, so be interesting to see going forward.
Yeah.
Who ends up taking this one? But for right now, I'm still gonna go with Darkness. I think he'll end up winning this one.
Yeah. I see. So Seals is only one and a half games back. Man, I wasn't trying to do that math for forever. I should not be trying to do math right now. He's only a game and a half back, not 2.5. Even better, I think. Maybe that's wrong. I don't care. The point is, it's close. For being the last user and team in the division, he's a lot closer to first than most of the divisions are. So, all right, moving on to the NFC North with the current.
Let you lead this off while I go get some water.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe Double is, he is number 1 in the NFL at 9-1. There are no more undefeated teams. There are games that need to be played yet. But other than that, like the Cardinals are 8-1, Cowboys are 8-1. That's admirable, but they can't quite catch the Packers at 9-1. So Double Rice definitely has everything set up as about as well as you could ask for to start off the season. He lost recently, though. Actually, let's go look at that. He's on a loss streak. It's always really exciting. You're like, oh, what happened? And then you go and it was like a forced loss or something, and you're like, nah.
I don't think it was, though. Not sure.
I hope not. Oh, no. No, it was a really good game. That's a box score we need to see. He lost 23-27 against Bloom and the Cowboys. The Cowboys are that. Wait. Did I talk about them? Are they 8-1?
They're in the NFC East. We haven't got to them.
Yeah. No, but I was just looking at the top of the standings. It was Cardinals and somebody. Was it Cardinals and Cowboys? That'd be nuts. I already forgot that. Who cares about all that stuff? Let's look at the head-to-head. So Rodgers had 2 touchdowns and 1 pick, and Prescott had a touchdown and 2 picks. They both threw for, Prescott threw for 337 yards. Rodgers for 210. Running the ball. A.J. Dillon had actually a really efficient day on the ground, but he didn't get in the end zone. Ezekiel Elliott got almost twice as many carries for less yards, but scored twice. Romeo Doubs must have had an end around. Same with Christian Watson. Aaron Jones only had 2 carries for 0 yards. I wonder what happened with that. Did he get hurt? He must have.
I know he's been trying to trade him.
Maybe he's just not even starting him, and he's just starting A.J. Dillon instead. Maybe. Touchdowns were caught by Christian Watson, Josiah DeGuara, and Cavante Turpin. So, not who... Like, if you were betting on Fantasy Kings on that or some shit like that, you lost if you were looking for touchdowns scored by. Like, none of those guys are guys... Well, at least on the Packers side. Defense, who got the picks, and did anybody take one to the house? No defensive touchdowns. There was a single fumble recovery. Forced by Trevon Diggs. Recovered by Osa... Oh, no. I can't say this last name. Odi Huizua? At that point, how the hell am I supposed to know what that GH is supposed to sound like in the middle of that bullshit? Odi Huizua? I'm going to stop butchering that. But anyways, Osa recovered that fumble, the only fumble. When it's games like this, I always look at the little things, especially the fumbles, because those are the things that can turn a game that like really piss you off when they do, because a lot of the time there's something you can't really control. So you're like, wow, that's what this game is going to turn on. That's nice. In any case, it was a played game, and it was the Cardinals, the Cardinals and the Cowboys were those two teams I was talking about. So Bloom King is 8-1, and in the most recent game that he's played, he beat the Packers. So he beat double. So that's interesting for the NFC as a whole. But as far as the NFC North goes, it's you don't want to call it too early. But what are we realistically expecting to happen in this division besides double winning? Like this,
not much. Everybody else behind him needs a few more years. The new Vikings guy, from what I've been seeing people say in chat, is going to be good. So, be interested to see their turnaround, what they end up doing, but it's too late for that at this point. There's no way he'll catch Rice. So,
yeah.
Rice is winning this division. Rice is the one that's going to the playoffs. Everybody else around him is still in build mode. So we'll see if somebody's in there contending with him next season or in the next couple.
Yeah, and Lando, I mean, he's been here, but it's the Lions. I have them in a different league. They just are devoid of most of the talent you need to compete, especially in a team with the Packers, who are pretty loaded, against a user that's got the Packers, who's pretty good. The Lions have basically no ability to compete in year one. So 4-5 is a respectable record, though, because that's a dumpster fire of a roster at a lot of places. It's young. It's why I took them in the other league. But you got a lot of holes to fix. And then you said it's really early on, or it's late, I should say, for users to jump in for season 1. So for the Bears and the Vikings, it's like, well, you took over teams that were off to a brutally terrible start, and what can you do? But you got to try and get what you can. At this point, honestly, it's almost more for like morale on rosters, just trying to get some wins under your belt so the team doesn't just hate itself. But who knows? As the next time that we record this podcast, maybe there will be some different win totals there and some big upsets or things like that. Again, probably not a whole lot to fight for at 2-8 and 1-8 to start the season, even if you took over the team late. For this season, but plenty to build towards for next season. So, but yeah, that's pretty cut and dry. NFC North is easy. You want to go ahead and start us off with the NFC South?
Yeah, the South. Got Gouda and Q Pierce, man. The second I saw this division come together, I was like, that's gonna be a fucking bloodbath between those two. So, Saints sitting at 7-2, Falcons sitting at 6-3, Bucks are sitting at 5-5, and are now, I believe, coachless, or maybe they have someone for them now, and I just missed it. They probably do, and I'm just an asshole. No, maybe not. Still,
I'm pretty sure you're right. I don't think they have somebody.
I actually might have someone for that rage hit me up. Yeah, so, I mean, I thought this was going to come down to Q and Gouda's division right off a rip anyway, even though, like, that Bucks team's pretty loaded. I know they're on a different user from the first one, and Tiny didn't have the greatest start with them. Gouda's been playing lights out. I mean, one of those wins on his win totals against me beat me by 14. It was a close back-and-forth game for, like, the first 3 quarters, and then kind of fell apart there. Q Pierce, we had a scheduling conflict. Well, he missed a time. He had some shit come up, and yeah, I ended up getting the force on that one. I don't think I played the Bucks yet. I haven't played the Panthers. Or no, I got a force one over the Panthers because they were CPU. This one's gonna come down to Gouda and Q. I know Gouda's already got 1 win. Over Q Pierce, so I'm kind of interested to see when do they play again. Gouda's gonna get a force this week, because I doubt we're magically gonna get a Panthers user unless, I don't know, rage. Let me find that.
You mean Q Pierce is getting a force?
Oh, was it? I must have looked at the wrong thing.
Yeah. Because Gouda plays me, and I get that you're dogging on me this game, but it's not the same as a force win. All right. I'm like, I am.
You know damn well that's not what I
It
meant.
takes a very finite amount of brain power to beat me at Madden, but it takes that. All right.
Okay, so they won't play again until week 15. So only being one game back, Gouda's actually dropped his 2 games recently to the Panthers and then the Ravens.
You mean the
He's right behind him.
Cardinals and
Yeah,
the Ravens?
Cardinal. No, Ravens and Cardinals.
Yeah, yeah.
His 2 losses or 2.
The Birds.
The Birds. I want to say Gouda's gonna win it, but like I'm also not gonna be surprised whatsoever if Q just turns it around and ends up winning that shit.
Yeah, I'm looking for.
Like I don't think the Bucks will catch either of them. I don't. I'd be surprised. I'd be really surprised if they did.
Well, they don't have a user, so they need to get a user first, and at that point, yeah, it'd be.
We have a Bucks user. It's Timber.
Oh, we do. Who is
Yeah.
that? Isn't that who we just weren't sure if we had a user for?
No, that was the Panthers, big dog.
Oh yeah, yeah. Shit, got those mixed up. Well, he's on a tear, but some of it is force win, which again you can't really help. You can only control what you can control. But I agree. It's like at this point, just the distance. It's not insane, but just knowing the 2 guys ahead of him, the way that I know him, is like. Because here's the thing, they're going to be competing against each other for sure, but because they have that competition against each other, it's going to be pushing them to just keep on going harder and stronger. And so then when you're the odd man out, if you're the Bucks at 5-5, you're like, well, shit. The 7-2 Saints literally cannot take their foot off the gas because of the 6-3 Falcons right behind them. Right? Like, Gouda's never going to slow down because Q's right on his tail, so where does that leave anybody else?
Yeah, and Q's gonna not slow down because he's chasing Gouda.
Right.
So,
and then what's likely, if either of them slip up, the other's likely to just take advantage of it and then keep on pressing. Which, again, that's what leaves, when you're talking about 2.5 games out, that's where you end up. So, that said, the Buccaneers started 0-5, and they are 5-5. They're on a 5-game win streak. Have not lost in more than a month. So, we will see how that works. And then, of course, the Panthers are the team we're looking to fill. And until they get filled, I mean, their season's just a wash. At this point, it's just, who's the quarterback next year? Is it Matt Corral? Are you trying to draft somebody? If you are, that's rough because you already have 3 wins. And if you have 3 wins, you could be drafting at like 10th or 11th. Like, it's just the way the league goes. So,
now that it's filled, like that, some of those CPU teams are filled, though. Man, I think we're gonna see some of that change.
You could. In any case, we will see how it goes. Again, I think, and you nailed it. The chase to look for here is between Gouda and Q Pierce, and like, this is what they wanted, basically, right? They end up in divisions against each other to play each other. It's kind of like the same thing with me and you. I think they're both better than me, so as a duo, they're probably better than me and you. But it's the same kind of. I get that, you know. All right, I want to be in that guy's division. I want to play him. Like I like the bragging rights and the, you know, the measuring stick element to it. So, it's hard to. It's really hard to say if you're gonna pick the division. Just again because of everything we've talked about. Like, even what makes you want to lean towards Gouda, he's been slipping recently. Now again, he's been slipping. He's lost 2 out of 3 games, but he's still 7-2. Like, he lost 2 out of 3, but he won 7 in a row before. Well, 6 in a row before that. So, nothing to sleep on. But at the same time, Q's won 2 in a row. He doesn't have a loss as recently, and I think that plays into it a lot. The fact that they don't play again for a while. I do wish that they played in like the last or second to last week. I don't love that there's 3 weeks of play after they play each other next, just for that division. But it's, I don't know. It's hard to pick. I will say, ooh, the Saints are really good at home. That's what I didn't pick. Who's at home? And I'm not saying just like, I mean, obviously the Saints IRL are pretty good at home, but Gouda's played much better at home in this. And he's going to be at home against Q-Pierce. So in the game that they already played, he was on the road to start the season and etched out the win. So I'm favoring Gouda in this matchup despite the recent quote-unquote struggles, if that's even what you want to call it. I still think, I think he's going to beat me tomorrow. So I hope it's a close game. I think it will be. I think it'll be, here's what I think. I think, honestly, it'll be a close game for 3 quarters. And then it has the potential to either continue to be a close game or I just mental boom and then he beats me by 20. That's what I realistically think happens. I still go into every game thinking there's a chance I can win. So I think there's a chance I can win tomorrow, but I don't expect it. So I would expect for him to be, 8-2 by the end of tomorrow night. And I just think he's in the better position considering that he's going to have home field advantage in the game that matters the most in Week 15. So that's where, long-winded as that was, holy shit. Man, this is why these things go for as long as they do. I am picking Gouda to win the NFC South as I make my picks in Week 10. And I reserve all of the, the range that is required when we record this a week from now, 3 weeks later in game, to change that as I see necessary. Yeah.
Honestly, I don't bet against Q. So I do think Q will end up winning this. If he plays his games out, like
Well, and like that wouldn't shock me. That's why I verbally deliberated between the whole thing for I don't even know what ended up being that amount of time. I kind of got lost in my own conversation, but like it's not an easy thing to pick, certainly. I do think it's worth noting, and again, who knows how force wins and losses affected this, but the Saints have a couple points more. Gouda has scored just 2 more points than Q has, but he's given up almost 30 less. So he's about as good, if not just a little bit better offensively, but he is notably better defensively. So, plus he's already got the, game and a half lead. Could be 2 games if he beats me and then Q Pierce loses for some reason, Plus he's got the home field advantage at the end of the year. That's all of those things are what add up to effective for me. But it's the same thing, like you said. It's hard to pick against Q because you know what he can do. So, all right, I'm taking Gouda. You're taking Q Pierce. Neither of us are going to look like idiots at the end of this thing. That's the beauty of it,
Right.
Whoever wins, it's going to be close.
So onto the NFC East, and Loom King's sitting right up there on top right now at 8-1, and he just had a statement game. He knocked off the last undefeated team.
Yes, sir.
Playing great offense, 353 points scored, 195 points again. I'm also watching his game against the Packers right now. He plays. I knew he did this on defense, but he's doing it on offense this year, playing from that zoomed out camera angle.
Yeah. Do you want to know what's the most tragic thing of all time?
Huh.
His only loss came on a straight sim.
Yeah, and it was supposed to be a force because the game didn't save.
Yep.
I know, he should be undefeated. Yeah, there's a nice little asterisk next to that one, so...
That's right, because he proceeded to take it out on Lando the next week.
Yep.
It's been a minute, I forget these things. But, yeah, he had a huge shootout with the Bears, too. A couple weeks ago. Missed that. A lot to catch up on. But, he's putting up the points, and he got the win that matters, right? He beat at that point, the only literal undefeated team in Madden. And that's a classic. That's one I'm going to have to watch. Go back and bring up the VOD. Who streamed it?
Bloom did. I can send you the link.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah, because I'm watching it.
We can't
Good
both
game.
watch it while we're doing this. But
No, I know.
I'll watch it. I'll probably watch it on my drive to work tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm glancing between the two things. That's
Which
a
I don't know
really
if the people
smart
that
idea.
listen to this know that about me, that I watch shows and shit while I drive to work. It's not safe. It's not something I recommend, but I do it religiously because it's just the best way to go about your life as a commuting driver.
It's really not. So the Eagles are 5-3, and Jonesy and the Commanders are 5-4. Giants sitting at 3-5. I mean, we can both agree already right off rip here that Bloom's gonna win this division, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be like one of the most massive collapses in all of sports if he doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, that's such a dramatic thing to say. It's early enough that it wouldn't be like the greatest collapse of all time. But it's like when you are talking about somebody that should be undefeated. So let's say they were 9-0, and the next closest team, whoever their user is, whatever their roster looks like, whatever the situation may be, is 5-3. Yeah, it would be an epic collapse at that point. Because I mean, how many weeks are there even left? So this is week 10, so technically there are, 7 more weeks to go. But in those 7 weeks, he'd have to give up 2.5 games? 8 games played, 9 games played. So the Eagles have to play yet. So if the Eagles win their 6-3, they're 2 games back with 7 games to go.
Yep. And that one loss the Cowboys do have is to the Eagles.
I pity the fool when they play each other again. Like, he's got... Dude, Bloom has got to be so pissed about that. But to be fair, as you rightfully pointed out, that one loss is in division, and it is to the team that's in second. So, man, that's so wild. But we'll see. We'll see how everything plays out. I agree with what you said, though. It's really hard early on, really hard to look at anybody that's in this division and pick them as the winner against Bloom. I just think Eagles Colt is, he's in a good spot. Obviously, it's hard to say because Jonesy's got the Commanders in a 5-4 spot. Those teams can sort of threaten, but I think we've seen enough that it's easy to pick Bloom to win the division. And honestly, that 27-23 win that he had against Rice, that's got to be as likely to be your NFC Championship preview as anything else, right?
Oh, I would be very surprised if those weren't the two that met up in the NFC Championship game this year.
And it was a great game that they had, so, I mean, we should be so lucky that ends up being the case.
That rematch would definitely be something to see.
Yeah. So, yeah, they're the easy early pick. Everyone else that's kind of lurking down there, it's not out of reach. It's just, it's tough because you're in the division that's basically already decided. So it's like, what do you end up doing with the rest of the year? Maybe you think that we're wrong. By all means, you try, as you should regardless. But, maybe we're wrong. But if we're not, then you're kind of looking at this, season. At that point, what are we trying to develop for? Who are we looking for that are standouts? What contracts do I have expiring that I need to figure out if I actually want this player? Or if I'd rather sign somebody in free agency or draft somebody. You're getting now to the point in the season where prospects are a little bit better scouted, especially the ones that are areas of need for you. So you can sort of, pick a lane that you want to go into, pick a direction in terms of what you want to develop. But it's hard if you're not Bloom King and you're in the NFC East to look at the playoffs. Although there's, of course, the wild card. So that's always an option for you. But But it's easy to get into I guess this season's over, when the person in your division is like maybe the best user in the league right now, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, yeah, Bloom's got my vote to win the division, checking all the boxes, and then the rest of it is just diagnosing why are they off to a better start than we are, and how do I stop them down the road. All right, did you have any other thoughts or?
No, I mean, Bloom's gonna win it. I'm not gonna pick against somebody that legit has more than that, like over 100 to almost 140 more points scored than the two teams behind him and a better points against.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, just looking at from those numbers there, like the only one who has a real possibility would be the Eagles because he did get that win that should have been for the Cowboys. But Bloom would have to stumble and the Eagles would have to play perfect.
Yeah. And even if the Eagles play perfect, the Bloom has to stumble twice. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and the Eagles can't stumble at all. It's when you're looking at somebody that's got that much momentum behind them, and you need them to fuck up a couple times, and then you can't fuck up at all. Looking at that momentum, respecting it because you understand how difficult it is to achieve. Like, it's just even a 2-game deficit at that point. Just, oof, it's a lot. I agree though. Eagles the only chance to stop the Cowboys, but I'm not predicting it. I'm taking Bloom and the Cowboys in the East, which brings us to the NFC West. NFC West. This one, you know, with the Cardinals being that other, like the NFC has, I think, the 1, 3, and 4 teams in overall rankings, and that could even be wrong. I think it is, because I think they're ranking Hives Ravens at number 2, even though they're 7-2. So the 3, 8-1 teams are all in the NFC, and they're all in different divisions, which is like phenomenal. But I mean, honestly, so I guess I'll let you start this one off, unless you don't want to. But like, what are your thoughts, just right off the rip, on the NFC West?
I mean, right off rip, when I saw Kyler Murray was hurt after week 1, I thought Doc was fucked, and here he sits at 8-1.
Yeah,
you know, won 6 straight games.
He's gonna hear this too and be pissed because we're like, NFC Championship game confirmed, Cowboys, Cowboys backers. And he's
right.
like, motherfucker, I'm
like,
right
you
here.
two pieces of shit. I come on your podcast, stay up all night, fall asleep, and you two are gonna talk shit on my name.
Doc is over there like, Bloom ain't said shit on your podcast.
Okay.
I lost literal sleep over it. I got some sleep, but I lost some sleep too. So,
Jesus, man.
no,
dude,
criminal disrespect that I will take ownership for, that I put on Doc's name in the last division. I'm only as good as the division I'm talking about during this podcast. Like, everybody has to know that. But yeah, he's making a statement in that division, really pulling away from everybody. 6 straight wins, like that feels so good. Everything's going right. Like, even when games go a little bit sideways, you end up winning them. So, like, that's a good feeling. Sorry,
Yeah,
I completely cut you off when you were talking about
No, you're fine. You're fine. Fink and his 49ers sitting at 5-3, so I guess they're not out of it yet, and he is playing way better defense. I mean, I guess I wouldn't say way better, but 196 points allowed for the 49ers compared to 223 for the Cardinals, so there is a difference there. And their points for isn't too spread out. Honestly, have they played?
If this is another game where they played, but it was a sim one way or the other, I'm going to be pissed.
Yeah, that fucked up so much shit early season.
No, they haven't. They're going to play... They play to end the season.
Yeah, they play not this
Week
advance,
18.
but next advance, and then they play to end the season. So, I mean, that's where, to me, it's going to get really fucking interesting, is when those two meet up here in the first time in a couple advances, and then to end the season. Because, I mean, Fink's good, man. Like, he's not a joke. That Canadian can ball. So,
That
I could see
Canadian can
him,
ball.
right? I can see him, like, he's going to have his nose in this division till the bitter end, man. It's just hard for me to want to bet against Doc when he's 8-1 and his starting quarterback's hurt.
Yeah. God help us all. Like, he's doing. Who's he doing this with again? I forget, but I'm gonna look it up right now.
I can't. I know Rojo's has been fucking tearing it up. Like, has had a massive resurgence for him with that Cardinals team.
Teddy fucking Bridgewater. Yeah, because remember we had looked at the stats and thought that maybe Colt McCoy was the guy.
Yeah.
He still hasn't gone back to Colt. I don't get it.
Hey man, when you're 8-1, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
I know, but he's 1-0 with Colt McCoy. That one loss came from Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, but he's 7-1 with Teddy, or 6-1 with Teddy.
Here's where the point is though, and like you said, Rojo has a fucking resurgence with him. You know, Ronald Jones through 10 weeks has over 1,000 yards and 14 touchdowns. So I think Doc's philosophy is like, I don't really give a shit who my quarterback is because I'm gonna lead with the running game, man.
They're just gonna dominate you with the run game.
Dominate with the run, and then have a game manager quarterback, and maybe for all again, Doc is the one that played the game, so there's obviously a reason that he hasn't let Coy see the field, or Colt see the field, McCoy. But those numbers, free Colt. You know what? Let's start the hashtag. Fuck this shit. I'm done. Numbers don't lie. I forget it. I don't give a shit if Doc thinks he's seen something different in the games. And what I was saying was, if they're both effectively game managers, maybe Colt just had like a ridiculously lucky game to get those numbers. And it doesn't matter because they're all game managers for the Ronald Jones show. But I'm going to complete 180 on that because that's the take that a reasonable person would have. And I'm not a reasonable person. Free Colt McCoy. This is bullshit. This is complete, utter bullshit that Colt McCoy goes out in one game, has 274 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks, 20 for 33, 60% completion rating, and that one game happens and Doc is like, this guy's not good. And he proceeds to start Teddy Bridgewater, who's thrown more picks, twice as many picks, more than he's thrown touchdowns. I don't know what it is that Teddy Bridgewater is doing on the field that is convincing him to leave Colt McCoy on the bench, but I can't accept it any longer. These numbers are atrocious. Free Colt McCoy.
You can die on that hill by yourself, man. He's 8-1.
No!
Like, when you're 8-1, you can do what the fuck you want to do. Like...
Well, 2 people are going to die on this hill. I'm pretty sure Colt McCoy would join me on that hill. He'd be like,
yeah, I don't doubt he would. Honestly, the thing I was really sitting back and thinking about after you brought up Colt McCoy again was, who had the longer NFL career, technically? Marcel Darius or Colt McCoy? I don't think Darius is in the league anymore, is he?
No.
You remember why that's relevant, right?
No. I remember that it is. I don't remember why.
It was the Alabama-Texas National Championship, dude. Marcel Darius was the dude that drove Colt McCoy into the ground in the first quarter and separated his shoulder.
Yeah. And look how the tables.
Yeah, that was that first. Was that first national title under Saban? I think it was.
I do remember. Oh, who was the fucking backup?
Garrett Gilbert.
Garrett Gilbert, because he was the starter the next year because they were like, oh, he did so admirably.
Yeah, and he was bad and ended up at SMU.
Yeah. That's got to be a 30 for 30, right? The story of Garrett Gilbert. You end up as like, well, okay, so you lost the national championship, but you did well, and you were a backup, so, like, we'll make you the starter. And 2 years later, he's, like, at the intro of a TV episode, and it's like, I bet you're wondering how I ended up here. For whatever reason, after one spring training with SMU, he sounds like a 40-year-old chain smoker. And he's like, bet you wonder how I ended up here. Alright, so anyways, that's, I guess, the hill that I'm down on for this episode, Free Colt McCoy. But either way, Doc, whatever you're doing, it's working. So I'm just thinking maybe you could be doing it more efficiently if you considered Colt McCoy as your quarterback. Have you heard the good news?
So Rams sitting at 4-4. I think I saw Evans is moving, so congratulations. That's like a huge thing. I'm actually working on buying a house as well. But like that Rams team's hard to win with, man. I've said this a million times. They have like five nice things, and the rest of it is just garbage.
It's old garbage too.
It's old garbage.
It's
Yeah, it's not even good garbage. It's like garbage that's like festered a little bit and it's got a stank to it. Like Andrew Whitworth's knees cannot hold up much longer. I think he's gone now, but that was still fun to say.
I sure hope he donates his body to science because something is in those knees.
Yeah, for fucking real. The Seahawks at 1-9. I mean, yeah, that Seahawks team's pretty. It's got like a couple of nice things, and then everything else that's there is just like, wow, this is god awful.
It's like, wow, you do exist. It's the opposite of the M&M's commercials with fucking Santa. It's like,
wow, they do exist. Thump.
Pretty much.
Like, god damn it, you killed Grandpa.
Right?
Son of a bitch. Now I'm gonna have to weekend at Bernie's Christmas so these kids don't cry.
I mean, seriously. And think if you actually killed Santa Claus. Like, that's not just somebody's grandpa. That's the entire world's supply of toys. How are you, a mere mortal, gonna pull that shit off on Christmas Eve? You're not.
You just, basically what you gotta do is call Tim Allen.
I thought you were gonna say Jeff Bezos, because, Amazon Prime.
It's just same difference.
It's close. Amazon Prime is the closest thing. Wow. Amazon Prime is the closest thing to, like, having Santa Claus that we have. Because, like, think about it. What Santa Claus actually does is literally physically impossible, right? So, probably the closest thing that we have to that kind of expedited delivery of goods, which, Santa dropping off everyone's presents over the course of one night, that's a huge logistical feat, which we know is not possible. Probably the closest thing to that would be how Amazon Prime can deliver you your packages in 1 to 2 business days in a majority of the cases. I swear we're not sponsored, and I don't fuck Jeff Bezos, but it is impressive what Amazon's been able to accomplish. Like literally, you can buy some shit and have it, depending on where you live, you can have shit sent to your house that day. You buy it in the morning, it'll show up by 4 o'clock. Like, that's nuts. Anyways,
so
I can tell that you're not into this at all. So,
like, oh great, he's gone off on an Amazon tangent, and I'll just check out.
Aw, it's more fun when you don't check out, though. Nah, that's where we're at. Is hour and 12 minutes in. It's been a long weekend. Are we not here for the long rants? When you're real quiet for a while, I'm like, this isn't entertaining.
Nah, it's my bad, man. I was fucking zooming over here and looking because this game has gotten close to the end. Now I'm tired as shit. Either way, though, I mean, I think I want to say Doc's gonna win this division.
Doc's gonna win the division. He's gonna win the division. That's all there is to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I just can't see the 49ers catching him.
He could.
Or Fink's gonna prove me absolutely fucking wrong here and make me eat these words in the nicest possible Canadian way.
Yeah, how would that even happen?
It was all that mess you were talking about. But you're sorry now. Oh, no.
No, they're sorry.
Sorry, whatever. Fucking, I'll have Corey come in and translate for me.
You're gonna have that motherfucker translate? Because, in order to translate, he has to talk.
Ha! Good point.
Here. Alright, well, that wraps up the divisions. I'm gonna be straight with you. I know we talked about maybe awards and stuff like that. I'm starting to feel very strongly that would be a good idea for the next episode.
Yeah, we could just leave that for the next one, man. I'm personally fine with that. I mean, any thoughts? Any thoughts on the league as a whole, like on where things are standing at? I know we're only missing one person right now, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Let's fill back up. We got some new talent in here. Haven't seen anyone get booted for being an absolute cheeseball, so that's nice as well.
Just people leaving because of accusations of cheeseballism. That's all. But that's neither here nor there. No, I mean, I think that, yeah, like, it's just the Panthers, right, that we need to fill.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think that's a great spot to be, in terms of just the health of the membership of the league. And in terms of everything else, I mean, it's been a fun first season of the cycle to talk about. I personally can't wait until we get drafted players that we're talking about. Like, like that's this. It's kind of weird because this podcast is really gonna hit a groove, like a really awesome, rich, new environment for things to talk about by like the fourth season in the cycle, because we're gonna have like the discussions when we talk. Fast forward 4 in-game seasons from now, when we're starting to talk about awards, it's gonna look wildly different because you've got a bunch of players that are like younger players that developed. Maybe they're in the game now, but they end up like turning into monsters, or maybe it's people that get drafted and then get turned into monsters. The current monsters get old here and they're not around anymore. That kind of thing. So it'll be really exciting to see. And I think part of what sparks that in me is that we're getting to the point now where you've got 7-2 New Orleans against 2-6 Pittsburgh. So it's like, okay, what are we really looking for in this game? I'm gonna I hate I hate losing so much that it would way benefit me to lose this game, but I can't do it on purpose. I'll probably do it intentionally, accidentally, because I throw lots of bad interceptions. That's how I lose. But I'm not doing it on purpose. I just fucking suck. So anyways, like, I'm going into this game, like, I want for it to, like I said earlier, I was like, I think it'll be a close game through 3 quarters. I think my mental will dictate whether it's like a close game one way or the other. One that I do think I can win. But either way, like, so what am I actually looking for in this season? Starting at 2-6. I'm starting to look at my pieces for next year. I'm starting to look at the prospects for next year. And so teams that are in the 2-6 boat or something like that, I think it's already fun to start looking at prospects, being like, well, who are people going to be talking about next season around this time? And it's going to be my player, because it's going to be this guy that I found, and I'm going to do well with him, that kind of thing. It gives somebody that's 2-6 something to look forward to. Besides the end of the rest of the season, which it's like even if I played really well and got a lot of wins, I don't think at 2-6 I can reasonably make the playoffs. So it's kind of like, all right, I have to make sure I get some wins anyways, because I cannot let this roster morale tank any worse than it has. But outside of that, like, what am I trying to do besides just play every week and get better? And what do I have to look forward to? And definitely I'm already looking at, like, the scouting and stuff like that. And we'll have a lot of fun things to talk about. And, of course, on the next podcast, we're going to talk about the awards and where they're at. I feel like we have a little bit of extra room to wait on that, simply because there is that extra week in the season, which just, it's weird the way that it affects. I'm pretty sure because it's a 17-week season, we'll actually have 2 more regular season podcasts. I could be wrong on that. It depends on the advance window, I guess, now that I'm talking about it. But I'm pretty sure we'll be able to get 2 podcasts in, even if we only do once per week. So, anyway, no, I feel like we're healthy in membership. I think there are lots of good storylines there. I think there are reasons for teams like I just described in my own position at 2-6 to be excited for the rest of this year and already have something to look forward to. I can't wait to cover all the rest of it. Once these divisions start to boil down, especially when we've got the head-to-head matchups that are coming up in like weeks 14, 15, 16, 17, it'll be a lot of fun to keep track of as we go into the playoffs. And I feel like the first off season is like the big off season, because so many moves are being made. And again, I'm way ahead of myself. We're in week 10, right? But I'm just like thinking ahead. The first off season is when you get a bunch of big moves that are made, where you can sign a guy or draft a guy who will impact your team big time for many years. Versus like once we're in season 4, the off season is like, well, you better draft a rookie that's incredible because you're not going to have time to develop him. Now is the time when it it's time to dial in because it all matters. And over the course of a 5 or 6 season cycle, your first off season can really set the tone.
The better you set yourself early, the better you set yourself up for the cycle. To me, the first 3 off seasons are the most important off seasons in a Madden league.
Yep. But anyways, yeah, that's where I think we're at. I think we've got a lot of things to be excited about. We certainly didn't have a problem filling in an hour and 20 minutes for tonight, which I didn't think either of us honestly thought we'd just breeze into, and that's sort of what happened. So
yeah, no, it ran pretty smooth. I mean, we had a decent amount to talk about as well, so
yeah.
that definitely helped keep it going, keep it moving. Things are starting to kind of get interesting, whereas like I feel like the first couple of podcasts were like, oh well, what if this, what if that, and now it's starting to be less what if and more this is what it is.
Right. Don't have to think so much about what might happen when you're seeing what is happening.
Exactly.
Gotcha. All right, well, I think that about wraps it up then. We definitely, again, we had a great time recording this, as we always do. So we hope that everyone enjoys watching it. This will upload. I'm up pretty early in the morning, so I'm going to upload this overnight, and I should be able to post it at between 8 and 9 o'clock Central Standard Time in the morning. So I hope that's early enough for your morning commute if you're one of those folks that likes to listen to the cast on your morning commute. If not, it'll definitely be there for your drive home. So once again, for my best friend and constant co-host Filthy, I'm J-Dog. We hope that everyone takes care of yourselves, and if you can, take care of someone else. As well as, just look for people to be kind to these days. There's a whole lot of kindness that a whole lot of people could use. So just, be good to each other. And otherwise, we'll see you in about a week. Either Monday or Tuesday night next week. Should probably work to record this thing again. So we'll talk to you guys then. Until next time, have a good one.
Be safe, guys. Have a great time.